Hi, this is Rachelle with Scrapcraftastic, and this is my first video that I'm doing since I'm moving Journal Life's journey over to this channel. I have 4 old book pages here, and I'm going to be gluing them together to create a cover. This was inspired by the official Heather Wilkerson. I will link to her channel in the description box below. I'll be working on several projects that were inspired by her, so check out her channel as well. So here I'm just using a solution of 1/3 cup of water and 8 ounces of white glue. This particular glue is the glue from Dollar Tree, the Jot brand. I'm not sure that I would use the wet glue like this again. If I do this again, I'm thinking I would use glue stick. It might be better. But with the wet glue, it's easier to spread and make sure that you get every corner of the paper. So again, this is 4 sheets of book page. And if you do junk journaling, you have excess book pages usually because you remove the book from the cover to use the cover for something else. So that's how I ended up with these book pages. And I'm just taking my ruler and squeegeeing, I guess you would call it, the glue, making sure that it is all over the pages. And here I'm also squeegeeing to try and make sure that I get all of the air bubbles out because I want this as flat as possible. So essentially what I'm doing here is making my own chipboard. So now I'm going to cover this with scrap pieces and make a collage using the same glue. And this little spatula that I'm using to apply the glue is a makeup spatula from Dollar Tree. I'm not sure if they still have them, but you should be able to find them off and on. And this image with the lady is actually a leftover scrap that I had when I covered a notebook. I'll link to that video in the iCard up above. But I held on to that scrap. I didn't want to throw it away. And so now it's coming in handy for this collage. And I also have some book page from an old music book that I have. And I'm adding some of that. And again, all of these papers are just scrap papers that I've had left over from projects. And they've just accumulated, and I'm just using what I have, not thinking about it too much, just trying to fill the spaces with the decorative papers. And I think with a lot of my projects, I will be incorporating black. Um, I know most of the vintage look projects that I see are tans and browns, but I want to incorporate some color and black just to give it some contrast and make it more striking. I don't know, something about the black. And I will probably also be doing more modern look things as well. I like vintage, but I don't want everything to be completely vintage. So I'm going to try and find a way to mix it up. So this is one side. This was the side that I originally wanted to be the cover. I'm just going in, patching up some spaces that I missed. Yeah, so this side I wanted to be the cover because of the image of the lady on the side there. Still patching up some empty spaces. Okay, so now I'm going to dry it as much as I can so that I can flip it over and work on the other side. So I'm not going to dry it completely. I'm just trying to dry it so that it won't be too sticky. And I'm going to get started on the other side. Some of this scrap paper is digital and some is from scrapbooking collections or scrapbooking paper. I just trimmed off that edge there so that can see exactly where the edge of the book pages is so that I don't run over it too much. And I'm going to take this piece of deli paper and put underneath so that just to make sure that that other side doesn't stick. And here I go again with the black because I just, again, think we need that contrast and it's just striking and makes it pop. So if you would like to see more videos like this, let me know in the comments. If you have anything in particular you would like to see, you can also drop that down in the comments. And if you like videos like this, I hope you'll give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And this whole process of using my scraps is very satisfying because it's like, yes, I'm putting them to use. They're not just laying in a box somewhere, they're actually being used. So I really enjoyed this. It's also very relaxing. There will be quite a few more collage type projects coming. Here I'm drying. I flipped it over and then I realized that I did the other side upside down. No big deal. It's collage, so I can fix it. And I'm going to use this image from a digital that I had. It was the same collection that the other lady's image came from. So it's just another part of that digital collection. Then I'm just going to add a little more to cover something else that was direction. The direction was upside down. Just fixing my mistake. Okay, so everything is ready to go. I waited overnight, let it dry, and it's very stiff like a medium weight chipboard. I'm going to go ahead and trim up the sides, get it squared off as best as I can. And I am using a heavy duty paper trimmer for this. I'm not sure that this would work with a regular paper trimmer, but you could use an X-Acto knife maybe or a box cutter. or something heavy duty that would cut through it. So here I'm just bending it back and forth, trying to straighten it out. I had it under something heavy to keep it flat, but it still has a few rumples and bumples. So I'm trying to flatten it as much as possible as I'm trimming it. So here I am measuring out the cover. I could just fold it in half, but I wanted to give it a spine, so I'm measuring 4 inches out on each side, which leaves me with a 1-inch spine. Here I am going to try and score where I want my spine. And I'm using a stylus from Fiskars and my scoreboard from Martha Stewart and my ruler from Tim Holtz. It's not working, so I drew a line on my scoreboard at the 4-inch mark, and I'm taking the stylus and using the ruler to help guide me and keep me on track because this cover is very thick. And I'm scoring multiple times, not putting too much pressure, trying to dig down into the paper, just doing multiple runs to get my score in the cover. And I'm doing this on both sides of the cover. And I'm carefully folding it to hopefully avoid cracking. I'm hoping that the glue that I use would help avoid cracking as well. Um, I want the cover to be a little more flexible. So I am actually going to press the issue with folding in a moment, but now I am going ahead and inking my edges with Vintage Photo Distress ink. And I'm inking along the spine. I did decide to use the other side for the cover, the side that I had initially done upside down. Uh, that is actually going to be the cover instead of this side. So here is where I'm going to push the issue of folding the spine. I kind of want it to fold flat. And when I did that, I got a little cracking. And so I decided that I need to patch up that spine and make it a little more secure. So I'm going to pull out my vintage style washi tapes and use those to repair the spine as well as add to the look of the spine. There was something, a postal mark on the spine that I did not want to cover up. Otherwise, I could have used a piece of fabric to cover the spine, but I didn't want to cover up that postal mark. So that is why I'm using the washi tape. And I'm actually going to use some of the glue mixture on the washi tape to make sure that it sticks. So I'm just pushing it down, making sure there's no air bubbles. And I'm going to use a different washi tape on the other side of the spine, on the other fold, but I don't want it to have a hard straight edge, so I'm tearing the straight edge off so that it will have a torn look just like the rest of the collage pieces on the cover. And just going over it with glue again, making sure that everything is sealed down. So I'm going to need to let that washi tape dry. I'm so tempted to fold it, but I'm not going to do that. I need to let it dry. So we are back. I let it dry and I checked to make sure that it folded well. I also added a piece of fabric on the inside spine. If you may have seen it there briefly. And so here I am just showing you how I punched them. So here I'm showing you the punch tool that I used and the punch board or punch stand. I can't remember the exact name of it, but I will try to link everything that I used in the description box below. I put together 3 signatures of just scrap papers. I have my little cushion here if I need it, and some wax linen thread and a needle with a good size eye on it, but not too big of a needle, not too fat, because I don't want giant holes. So here I'm just making sure I have the signatures in the right order, and I'm going to start with the last signature. So I'm going to work my way from the back to the front. I'm going to go through the middle, up through the top. So I'm going through the middle of the signature and the cover, up through the top of the cover and the signature, then down all the way to the bottom. And then up through the middle again. And then I'm going to make sure that the 2 hanging strings are on either side of the stitch that goes down the middle. And I'm just checking the back to make sure everything is as tight as it can be, that I don't have any loops or anything like that. Again, each string is on either side of the long stitch in the middle, and I'm just going to tie a knot. And you can trim the strings off or leave them long if you want to put charms or other decorations on those strings. They can also be tied into a bow. So this is the middle signature, and I'm going to repeat the same process. And I've already cut my thread at 3 lengths of the book for each signature. So I cut all my threads first. That way I don't have to keep unrolling it from the spool and cutting it, and I can just do it all at one time. So it's a little more fiddly, I find. This is one of the smaller books that I've made. I've made several smaller ones recently, and I'm finding that actually stitching the smaller books is a little more complicated than it is with a larger book or journal. It would seem that it would be the other way around, but yeah, the smaller space makes it a little more fiddly. And I do have my signatures paper clipped. You can also use a binder clip. Since these signatures are pretty thin, a paper clip is working fine to hold the pages in place so that after I've punched the hole through the pages, they don't move. Everything stays where it's supposed to be. And I'm sewing in the final signature, which is the front signature. And again, when you're sewing in signatures, make sure you have them going in the right direction. Doing that last stitch and making sure that the threads are pulled tight. Just double checking that there's some tension on the spine threads and going ahead and tying that last knot. Removing the paper clips. And there we have it. I'm just adjusting the fabric that I put on the inside spine, aligning my strings. And here I'm just going to go through each page and fold it down just to make sure that everything is laying the way that it is supposed to. And that's going to be it for this video. I will be coming back to do more work in this journal as far as adding ephemera and embellishments to it. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications so you don't miss anything. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, again, please give me a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to the channel. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.